All right. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Kevin. Those guys crack me up. Don't they crack you up, folks? Yeah. Make all the tech people pull over so our people can leave town first. Very good. Very good. And it is a big one against Georgia Tech. And those of you who are still in that younger stage of not really knowing losing to Georgia Tech may not understand the spite that some of us who have been around longer have for the Jackets. And as Jeff was saying, just lose to them today and you'll get a better idea of what it's like. Of course, the reason we don't have a generation right now that's accustomed to ever losing to Tech much at all is because Coach Richt has won 12 out of 13 since he's been here in Athens. The Dogs have won 5 straight in the series, 19 out of the last 23 games against Georgia Tech, 28 out of 36, with the exception of one 8-year stretch during which Georgia Tech won all 8 games against Georgia. The rivalry between these two in-state rivals has been dominated by the red and black. The Bulldogs posting a 22-13-5 record prior to 1949, and since 1957, and the drought ended, the Dogs 42-15 against the Yeller Jackets. Well, to get you to kickoff, Bulldogs play-by-play man Scott Howard, analyst Eric Zier, and UGA tailgate legend Lauren Smith will join us next. Live from Athens, we're sitting outside the bookstore, the sun rising over our left shoulder. Let's pause 10 seconds for station identification. This is the Bulldog Sports Network from IMG. Hello, Bulldog Nation.
Welcome to the Bulldog Tailgate Show, presented by Winn-Dixie, your game day headquarters.
A little bit of experience. He's a sophomore.
I just see a gamesmanship about it.
Other scores, it's rivalry week.
Your emotions are as sky high as they ever will be.
A terrific day of football ahead.
Today's show is also brought to you in part by Cook's Pest Control and the Centricon System, the unbeatable combination for termite protection. Allstate Insurance, are you in good hands? By Milton Martin Honda in Gainesville. If you think you'll get a better deal on a better car at Milton Martin Honda, you've got that right. Georgia's own credit union. It's your future. Own it. Georgia Farm Bureau Auto Insurance. Contact them at gfb.org. Nature's Own, the official bread of the Georgia Bulldogs. Kroger, great food, low prices. And by Georgia Power, proud to power the Georgia Bulldogs. This is the Bulldog Tailgate Show.
And it'll be second down and 8 for the Dogs from our own 17-yard line. Snap to Mason in the shotgun. Handoff Chubb again. This one, you got the top side. 25, 30, 35, 40. Chubb to midfield, far sideline. Chubb to the 30, Chubb to the 20. He's outrunning the defense. Touchdown, Nick Chubb.
Good morning, Bulldog Nation. Today, one of the better Georgia Tech teams of the past 20 years brings its 9-2 record to Athens in a battle for the Governor's Cup against our 8th-ranked Red and Black Warriors. This is Neil Hondo Williamson from our stage outside the campus bookstore. Joining me here are Bulldog sage Lauren Smith and Dogs legendary quarterback Eric Zier. Up in the Larry Munson broadcast booth is the voice of the Bulldogs, Scott Howard. Gentlemen, Arkansas. Arkansas failed to provide UGA the help it needed by defeating Missouri yesterday. Mizzou coming away with that victory, depriving our Dogs of their 3rd SEC championship game appearance in 4 years. How will the coaches convince the players to let go of such a fresh and stinging disappointment, Scott Howard?
Well, good morning. You got to sell the importance of this game is, I guess, the best way. I mean, obviously there's disappointment, but, you know, it was probably more frustration, too, because of the fact that you couldn't do anything about it. I mean, it was completely out of Georgia's control, having to sit and watch that thing yesterday and pull for somebody else to help you get into where you want it to be. And I don't know what the solution is for the coaches as far as telling the players, get over that and get ready for today, other than the fact that they've had this whole week to prepare for this ball game, and in which you hear all week long this is the most important game of the year. This is the biggest game of the year. It's Georgia Tech. It's your arch rival. So I guess that's the angle that the coaches have to take with the players.
Well, if you've prepared to play Georgia Tech and to try to put on a winning performance, you don't suddenly crash overnight. If you're ready to play, this is so important. You win this game and then you win the bowl game. Nothing is a guarantee. You wind up in the top 5, 6. Mm-hmm. What a great opportunity. And don't let something take that away from you. And after all, if you want to be realistic, we should have taken care of business before today. We didn't, so don't blame Arkansas. Don't get on the emotions and all of this. Just go play football and realize what you've got to look forward to if you win the next 2 games.
Yeah, Lauren, Scott, I think you're both right. You know, fortunately for the players, you get so conditioned with the routine that you get in and week out when you're playing the game that a lot of the emotion and the disappointment that we feel right now is kind of pushed to the side when you're a player or when you're a coach getting ready to go into battle. You know that this is a very good Georgia Tech team. You've got an awful lot of pride on the game. So above and beyond just the importance of good old-fashioned hate and winning this football game, for state pride, what it means for your season moving forward, which can still be and will be with a victory today and getting into a good bowl game, a tremendous season. When coming into this year, you had a new defensive coordinator, very young, inexperienced secondary that has grown tremendously under Coach Jeremy Pruitt. Of course, the offense putting up great numbers. So hopefully, and knowing from being in the locker room and preparing for these kind of games, when there are things that happen that really bring disappointment, I think, for the broader Bulldog Nation, you get sheltered from a lot of that because of the routine that you're in. But make no mistake, the Dogs have to start fast today, or else all of that disappointment, knowing that you were so close to getting to play for all of your goals that you would set out for, an SEC title, a potential shot at getting into the Final Four, and into the inaugural playoffs system here. All of those things being gone, you start fast. That puts a lot of that to rest. You get behind, all of a sudden those things can start to creep in a little bit.
All right, today our players must maintain focus versus our biggest rival.
We know how much this game means to our fans. We know how much this game means to our coaches. We know how much this game means to each other. And we're going to do everything in our power to put together a plan, go out and execute it, and try to get it done, you know, with less drama than last year.
Than last year. Senior defensive back Damian Swan. Eric Zier. Swan referenced the 2013 slow start during which the Yeller Jackets leapt to a 20-0 lead. You just referenced it a second ago. Can the coaches apply any lessons from last year to get the players dialed in from the start today?
Yeah, I think all they have to do is bring up that game tape. You know, this Georgia Tech offense, there's no question, extremely explosive, averaging 328 yards on the ground, another 142 through the air this year. So you know that they're explosive. But one of the risks you run when you've dominated a series, the way that the Dogs have dominated this series under Coach Rick, is that you lull yourself to sleep, that you can roll that red hat out there on the field, you can show up, and then you can win and be successful. This Georgia Tech offense, every single play is designed in the running game, not the passing game like we see against most teams, but to take advantage of your alignment. Every play that they run can go to the house if they execute and perform well. Georgia Tech on the offensive side of the ball, that is. And you pull up that game tape, you know how explosive they can be. You better be ready to play from the opening whistle. You can find yourself behind and in a dogfight against a Georgia Tech team this year that's better than any we've seen in recent memory.
All right, let's hear from Coach Rick.
I just got a feeling we're going to have to play a series or two to really get a feel for how fast it happens, and not so much fast in between plays, but when that ball snaps, how fast things happen, how fast they can get you on the ground, how fast they can be up on you.
Scott Howard, Coach Rick, not only remembers 2013, but several years of experience facing this Tech flexbone option. He has valid reason to worry.
Yeah, of course. Tech's very good at it. I mean, they're one of the best rushing teams in the nation. They run the ball predominantly, 600 carries this season compared to only 161 pass attempts. So they're obviously very run heavy, and that's what they specialize in. And Coach Rick said the same thing last week prior to playing Charleston Southern, that he wouldn't be surprised if it took a few series for Georgia to kind of find its bearings as far as getting a feel for what they were trying to do. Georgia handled that offense very well last week, and they hope to get off to an equally fast start, as you guys were just talking about today. But Tech's going to get some yards. I mean, that's just the way this thing is designed. But the deal is to not let them in the end zone, which is kind of what happened last week or 2 weeks ago in their game with Clemson. They scored 2 defensive touchdowns, and they kicked a lot of field goals. Mm-hmm. They had a lot of yards, but they didn't get in the end zone a lot, and that's what Georgia hopes to do today.
Boy, let's hope so. More from Coach Mark Richt, please.
Jeremy has had experience, and I think all of our coaches have had some experience defending this type of offense. But going, head-to-head with Georgia Tech, I don't believe they did at Florida State last year. So it'll be the first shot out of the cannon, so to speak.
Lauren Smith, no one on this current defensive staff has faced Tech's triple option. Is that lack of comparative history a problem?
Well, no, I think if they have coached this team to execute, and the team gets out there and is able to execute against Tech, then how many times you've coached again, it should not be relevant. And as Coach Rick just mentioned there, especially Pruitt, they have seen a lot of option in high school. And these guys have coached against the option coming along in their high school years. And Jeremy Pruitt, I've said this before, he spends a lot of time with high school coaches. He thinks that's where the best teaching is done. So knowing Georgia Tech was on the schedule, I don't know how far back it went, but he's been talking option to people who run it, who have to defend it on the high school level, just a natural thing. But the complications come from the fact that you don't get the ball that much when you play Georgia Tech. Mm-hmm. 14 times a game is about normal. You get 7 possessions a half routinely in most games. In this game, you probably won't get it. Maybe might be more like 9 or 10. So Georgia needs to score every time it gets the ball. It needs to produce. And you don't want to get behind Georgia Tech, but they're going to run the ball. They're going to eat up yards. They're going to eat up the clock, like Scott alluded to. You just got to be able to bend, not break, keep them out of the end zone. But you're not going to get that many possessions. So I think the productivity of the offense today by Georgia is very critical.
All right. Thank you, Lauren. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Eric. It's a Go Red Saturday in Athens. Our fans will stage a red out per Coach Rick's request for today's showdown between the 8th-ranked Bulldogs and number 16 Georgia Tech. The studio host and producer of the Tailgate Show is Drew Branyon. Our engineer here at Sanford Stadium is Tony Schiavone. Adam Witten, producer. Young Jay Black is our engineer here at the Tate Plaza. Kickoff at 12:01 to get you especially fired up for today's 107th meeting between the Dogs and the Yellow Jackets. We'll play some great highlights from the series throughout the Tailgate Show. Let's go back to meeting number 99. Larry Munson with the call.
We've got 4 receivers out wide. Stafford retreats, looks, pumps, throw. Touchdown! 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 My God, a touchdown! 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 Massacre!
Ball on the 32. Here's pressure down by Georgia. Brown avoids it, rolls to the near side, and throws an interception. Caught by Mauger. Mauger jumping over. White-shirted bodies on the field, down inside the 25.
Beat the Ramblin' Wreck in a noon kick today, and Mark Rick's record against the Yellow Jackets will improve to an otherworldly 13-1. Here's Lauren Smith with today's Bulldog Flashback. Lauren.
Well, we're going to flash back a little differently today. We're going to talk with Fletcher Page, who is the sports editor of the Athens Banner-Herald, covers the Bulldogs every day, along with Mark Weiser. Fletcher, you're a young guy. You get this plum assignment, covering the Dogs every day. What's it like?
Oh, it's great, Lauren. Obviously I started out at the Red and Black and went to UGA, so went away for a little bit and covered the Big Ten, and it's been good to be back this season.
You're a native of Young Harris, the hometown of former Governor Zell Miller.
That's right.
And you are a Grady graduate, University of Georgia, in the Big Ten. What was that like? How do you compare Big Ten football to SEC?
Well, it's really hard to. Obviously, I covered Illinois, and they were kind of going through a rebuilding. So I spent most of my football games trying to figure out how the basketball recruits were doing on their official visits. So I used to be able to show up about 45 minutes before the game and didn't have any trouble parking. I could walk right in. But I got to see the big house up at Michigan and go to Columbus and see Ohio State. So that was pretty fun. It was a good experience to kind of get around the country a little bit.
What do the Big Ten folks think about SEC football?
I think that I think they're a little bit envious, a little bit jealous of just the environment and the passion that the fans have. And I think that outside of Ohio State and Wisconsin, Michigan State right now is kind of building that. I think the fans wish that they could kind of get behind some of their teams the way that, Georgia, Alabama, LSU, all these schools get to do, because it's a great experience. I think they see it, and I know that there's a lot of criticism around the country for the SEC, but I think that everybody wishes that they could have what most of these schools have.
What's the basic difference? Traditionally, Big Ten was big and powerful. The SEC's emphasizes the speed and quickness a little more, but
right.
How did you like or find Big Ten football?
I think the biggest thing is most of the kids that I was around in Illinois, they started only playing basketball when they were 10 years old. They kind of got away from football, and down here it's kind of the opposite, really. I know that the basketball's kind of has some movement in Atlanta, but when you're around here, you play football. You grow up wanting to go to University of Georgia to play football, and up there was a lot more things to kind of get into with Chicago and stuff like that. So it was a little bit more difficult for them to kind of recruit the whole state the way that you can recruit the state of Georgia.
Georgia Tech, you're familiar with a rivalry, but how do you assess today's game?
This is a really good Georgia Tech team. I think it's going to be a physical game. Obviously, I grew up. This rivalry was a little bit differently, maybe a little bit different from my generation, because we grew up seeing Georgia win this game every year. But I know that I spoke to my grandmother earlier this week, and she said that if Georgia could get a win against Georgia Tech, it would make everything a lot better after losing to South Carolina and Florida. So I know this is a big game for everybody, and I know that losing it probably means a great deal to people in my generation, more than maybe winning it, which probably isn't fair to Georgia.
Well, I can tell you, everybody agrees with your grandmother.
No doubt.
Nice to have you with us. Fletcher Page doing a good job as sports editor of the Athens Banner Herald. We go back over to Neil.
All right, thank you, Fletcher, for coming by this early in the morning. Thank you, Lauren. Look sharp on or off campus in this men's button-down shirt from Cutter & Buck, available in red and black at the UGA bookstore. One of the many great holiday ideas at the UGA bookstore. The UGA bookstore, it's where the dogs shop.
And dog fans, join us every Sunday from 10 until noon live from the Hilltop Grill as host Jeff Dantzler and Kevin Butler break down all of the action from today's game.
The treacherous flex bone. Is Georgia prepared to handle the myriad options of the Georgia Tech offense? Eric Zier returns with his answer in less than 10 minutes on the Bulldog Sports Network from IMG.
Goal to go at the 2-yard line. McGowan in motion for the Dogs. Give it to Gurley. Cuts back behind the center. Did he get in? He fell to the goal line. Yeah, touchdown!
It's time now for Team UGA, presented by Georgia Power. Today we're joined by Mr. Irvin Fulton. Mr. Fulton, congratulations on the honor being recognized as Team UGA this week.
Thank you very much, sir. I'm very honored.
Now, obviously, you guys help out the hungry with your charity. Explain a little bit about what you guys do during the week of Thanksgiving and also into Christmas.
I'm a member of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated, and during the month of November, which we just done on the 24th of this month, we select 12 families from our local DFACS organization, and we go around and give out boxes of canned goods and plus turkeys. And we've been doing it since, I don't know when, but since I've been a member, I've been doing a clothing drive. I actually started in 98. I've been a member of this organization since 93. I do a clothing drive every third Saturday in December, which is coming up next month.
I got you. Well, definitely helpful in the community there. And one of the things that I found about your story that was interesting is you're actually legally blind. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. I'm legally blind, but I can see well enough to do my job, but I'm legally blind. Yes,
so that doesn't affect the way you give back to the community then?
No, sir.
Well, that's great. Well, Mr. Fulton, congratulations again on the honor, and we appreciate you joining us here for a little bit. Can I get a Go Dogs before we go?
Go Dogs!
Boy, not a better way to get your morning started with that Go Dogs here as we get set for kickoff between Georgia and Georgia Tech. Previewing what's coming up in the SEC this afternoon, it's rivalry weekend across college football starting off at noon. It's South Carolina taking on that team from the upstate, 21st ranked Clemson will take on South Carolina. Also at noon, Kentucky will visit 22nd ranked Louisville. It's the final game of the Will Muschamp era at 3:30 this afternoon as the Florida Gators head to Tallahassee to take on the third ranked Seminoles. A big game from Oxford, Mississippi this afternoon at 3:30, the Egg Bowl featuring 4th ranked Mississippi State and 19th ranked Ole Miss. At 4 o'clock this afternoon, Vanderbilt at 0-7 in the SEC will host Tennessee. And it's the Iron Bowl wrapping up a good day in college football at 7:45 tonight. Number 1 Alabama hosting 15th ranked Auburn. The nation's eyes are going to be on that one, Hondo, but not sure it can get more exciting than it was last year.
Oh, couldn't have a crazier ending, that's for sure, Drew. Welcome to the broadcast today, Drew Branyan, folks. Thank you, Dogs fans, for all your holiday shopping needs. Make sure you stop by your neighborhood Winn-Dixie or Harvey's. As proud supporters of Georgia football, we are stocked up to make sure your doghouse is set for the family and friends coming to visit. Winn-Dixie and Harvey's are proud supporters of the Georgia Bulldogs. Lauren?
Jonathan Rump is our Primerica Player of the Week, a senior from Casey, South Carolina. He's been the Bulldogs' leading receiver in 2 of the last 3 games, coming off of a performance with a career-high 5 catches for 67 yards in his first touchdown reception against Charleston Southern. 3 weeks ago in Lexington, Rump snagged 4 passes for 81 yards in the win against Kentucky. Lingering hamstring issues kept him out of Georgia's first 8 games this season. However, he's finished with more than 13,000 receiving yards and 7 touchdowns during his 2 years at Holmes Community College in Mississippi. But is limited to playing just 5 games in his junior year in Athens because of a hamstring. Finished with 7 catches and 121 yards, however, and a 17.3 yards per catch average in 2013. Jonathan Rump, our Primerica Player of the Week. Our thanks to John Addison and all the folks at Primerica for helping us honor an outstanding Georgia football player each week.
Okay, thank you, Lauren. We know you're fired up. Today, Georgia will attempt to defeat Georgia Tech for the 6th season in a row. Up next, we'll talk Bulldogs offense with Eric Zier and the necessity to get it going quicker than we did in the 2013 game. In fact, let's remember 1 year ago, Dogs trailed Tech 20-0 at Grant Field. Then the Gurley machine began to crank up to help us shatter their yellow jacket hearts.
Goal to go at the 2-yard line. McGowan in motion for the Dogs. Give it to Gurley. Cuts back behind the center. Did he get in? He fell to the goal line. Yeah, touchdown! Handoff goes to Quavon Hicks. He bounces off 2 tacklers, switches arms, bounces out left, breaks another tackle at the 25, still on his feet, down to the 10, down to the 5, and touchdown. Did he get in? Yeah, touchdown.
Quavon just punishing people on his way to the end zone last week. Good morning from the campus bookstore. Eric Zier back with us as we prepare for Tech Between the Hedges today in our season finale. 1 year ago, the Tech game was Hudson Mason's first ever start under center for the Red and Black.
It was difficult, but, he struggled early on, and I think we did as a team. We struggled early on. But, the team was persistent, and he bounced back, and he played an excellent second half and overtime.
You got to be very efficient because, they kill a lot of clock, and you're not going to get as many possessions as you normally are playing against a normal offense. So we know that we can't really afford to get down 20 again.
Hey, Z, we won last year's game, and Hudson Mason, who we just heard from there after hearing from receiver Chris Conley first. Hudson Mason passed for 299 yards, one of the greatest comebacks in Bulldogs history. But I like what he was saying about the Tech triple option there, their offense, their ability to hold the ball. How much pressure does that put on Mason and the Bulldogs offense on every possession?
Well, I tell you, it's very similar to what we were talking about going into the game against Auburn, where every single possession we have is it's critical that we find a way to put points on the board. This Tech team averaging 38 points per game. They hold the football for nearly 34 minutes. They've got an unbelievable third down conversion percentage of 58%. So they have the ability to hold the football. They score a lot of points, which puts a premium. Every time we hold that football, have to find a way to put points on the board. You get behind by 20 points, 21 points against this Tech team this year, it's going to be mighty difficult to come back and make any kind of a charge. We have to hold serve. We have to be able to respond if they put points on the board. So every time we touch the football, it's just critical that we're able to go find a way to put points on the board.
Our receiving corps has finally rebounded from myriad injuries suffered over the past 15 months. Would you alter the Bulldogs offense to take advantage of the improvement in Malcolm Mitchell, Justin Scott Wesley, Jonathan Rump to go with Chris Connolly and Michael Bennett?
You know, what a great luxury to have, but not one bit would I change a thing. This dog offense is just lighting the scoreboard up, averaging nearly 43 points per game, 260 yards per game on the ground, 200 yards through the air. So we're seeing that number start to pick up a little bit. The game plan needs to remain exactly as it's been all year. Establish a dominating ground game behind that big offensive line and Nick Chubb, then Sony Michel, and then if Tech decides they're going to commit completely to stopping the run, now allow all those weapons that you just mentioned in Hudson Mason to go to work and be very opportunistic and take advantage of defensive looks that they give us.
Do you think we might see another 35-plus carry day out of Nick Chubb in order to control the clock ourselves?
Well, I'll tell you what, if we can get rolling behind the big boys up front, it wouldn't surprise me one bit. Now, more important than just seeing him put up big rushing numbers in terms of the number of carries that he has. It's important that we get points. But if we get the ball rolling downhill in our running game, I wouldn't be surprised to see that kind of carry total from Nick Chubb and really just from the running game in general.
All right. Thank you, Eric Zier. Scott Howard and Eric bring you the play-by-play and analysis of today's game, 8th-ranked Georgia against number 16 Georgia Tech. Coach Mark Richt joins us in about 1 hour for a scouting report of the Yellow Jackets.
Hi, Bulldogs. My name is Jack Green from Lakeland, Georgia. I'm a 5th grader at Valwood School. The Tailgate Show will continue after these messages on the Bulldog Sports Network from IMG.
The Bulldog Tailgate Show continues with this Bulldog Point of Pride, presented by Georgia Farm Bureau Insurance. Contact them at gfb.org. Now for the 411 on the University of Georgia, here's Steve Bell.
Hey, Dog fans. 3 University of Georgia faculty members have been named recipients of the Richard B. Russell Awards for Excellence in Undergraduate Teaching. That's the university's highest early career teaching honor. The 014 Russell Award winners are Anthony Madonna from the School of Public and International Affairs, Maria Navarro from the College of Agricultural and Environmental Sciences, and John Shramsky from the College of Engineering. The Russell Award winners are all Bulldog Points of Pride.
Setting the table for Dogs football.
And Douglas easily into the end zone for the touchdown.
You're listening to the Bulldog Tailgate Show, presented by Winn-Dixie, your game day headquarters.
You've got to be tough to play in this game. You got to be tough because the type of offense, especially that they run, is one where they're going to come after you, down after down after down, and you got to be resilient.
The voice of the Dog, Scott Howard, back with us. Scott, I hear more trepidation in Coach Mark Richt's voice when he talks about the triple option than any other opponent. Is it because we get so few looks at it?
That probably has something to do with it. It's hard to replicate. The scout team can't really give the starters a good look in practice, and that has a lot to do with the trepidation that you may hear in Mark's voice a little bit when he talks about it. Plus it's the fact that it's your arch in-state rival that's running that offense. So there's a lot of weight on this game. There's a lot of pressure to win this game, and then when you have to prepare for this funky offense that you don't see but once a year probably, and it's hard to get practice looks in it and real live practice snaps Yeah, you kind of go in it hoping that you just kind of hope for the best and hope your guys know their assignments and can do their jobs. And I think this veteran group that Georgia has, they've seen it a few times, so hopefully they remember from past experiences and won't have too many issues with it today.
What have the last 15 hours in Athens been like since Missouri beat Arkansas, keeping our Bulldogs from playing the next week's SEC championship game? Well, you were in New York.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's tough to say.
I was going to say, I was listening to you yesterday when I was driving over to Nicky's football game at St. Pius.
But I know, we were kind of disappointed with the outcome coming back from basketball last night, and I had a chance to talk with Coach Richt early this morning. And there was some disappointment there. He obviously didn't. He told me he didn't really want to discuss it for his pregame stuff. He didn't want to talk about it. He wanted to keep his focus on this game. So that's kind of what we did. But I sensed some disappointment there. I haven't talked to any of the players, since this happened. But I would imagine that's going to be one of the things that they've got to overcome today to play well against Georgia Tech is the disappointment of not reaching Atlanta, which was certainly one of their major goals when this thing started.
Yeah, I'm keeping Zaire from trying to jump off the Jim Gillis Bridge here out at the stadium. He's pretty upset.
Well, upset. In a few hours, if the outcome for this one is good, some of those other feelings will subside.
Yeah, you're right. Allstate sponsors this look at the Bulldogs kicking game with Scott Howard, and it seems as though every week we're playing one of the top kickoff return guys in the nation. Tell us what's special about Tech's special team, Scott.
Well, the kickoff return guy that you're referring to is Jamal Golden, and he's good on kick returns. Their punt return game hasn't done a whole lot, quite frankly, this year. But kick returns, Golden is averaging almost 27 yards per return, which is very good. They don't have any touchdown returns in their kickoff unit this year, but they've been generating some pretty good field position with those returns from Golden. On the other side, however, they have blocked 5 kicks, excuse me. They blocked 5 kicks this year, which leads the nation, so that's a concern because you've got to be ready for that. Punts, field goals, extra points. I mean, they'll get in there on you and knock it back the other way. So those are a couple of things on special teams to watch out for today. Jamal Golden on kick returns and their ability to block kicks.
All right, ever insightful. Thank you, Scott Howard. Scott and Eric Zaire. Chuck Dowdle will be down on the field today for your play-by-play and analysis and interviews and sideline reports of Georgia and Georgia Tech. Look sharp on or off campus in a men's button-down shirt from Cutter & Buck, available in red and black at the UGA bookstore. One of the many great holiday ideas at the UGA bookstore. The UGA bookstore, it's where the dogs shop.
And win a pair of Southwest Airline tickets every week in our biggest dog fan photo contest. Share your picture on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter with the hashtag UGA LUV contest or visit GeorgiaDogs.com for more details.
Both the 16th ranked Yellow Jackets and our number 8 Bulldogs come into today's game 9-2. We'll be back with more great highlights from years of Georgia domination in this series in moments from Athens. We're sitting outside the bookstore. This is the Bulldogs Sports Network from IMG. Welcome back to our tailgate show from outside the bookstore. Neil Hondo Williamson, Eric Zaire sitting up here. Scott Howard's up in the Larry Munson broadcast booth. And meanwhile, down on the field, it's our Lauren Smith between the hedges. Lauren.
And we have our athletic director, Greg McGarrity, joining us. Everybody's talking about the disappointment in Missouri, but you have a little interesting perspective. Control what you can control. Don't worry about the rest.
Hey, Lauren, we have unbelievable things ahead of us if we get past today. Regardless of what happened to Missouri yesterday, to reach a lot of our goals this year, and some are not achievable now, but I promise you this, a win today sets us up really good for the bowl situation, and I can't stress enough how important that is because the way the things work now, they strictly go by the rankings. UCLA lost yesterday. We have a chance to beat a ranked team today. Big things are ahead of us if we take care of business today. So the focus, regardless of what happened in the game yesterday, should be on Georgia Tech. So we should all approach this game as if nothing happened yesterday, because it should be it's the biggest game of the year. It's our biggest rival. And if we don't come here with our A game and our fans don't bring their A game, then, we may be on the wrong side of the scoreboard. So sense of urgency and fire and determination, that has to be in play today for us to have a chance to win today.
Win today, and the bowl picture brightens. What can you say about the bowl?
Well, I just think that what it does, it puts you in the playoff system, not the top four, but it certainly allows you to feed into bowls, maybe like the Peach Bowl or the Orange Bowl, because as the rankings go, you feed into the bowls. Once the top four are named, then you feed into the bowls, and nobody can jump you unless there's an automatic qualifying position in there. So needless to say, the higher you are ranked, the more chances you have of playing in one of the new bowl games that brings a level of significance that allows you to finish the season on a high note, go to a bowl game that has a tremendous amount of significance in the big picture here. And, hey, you win your last two games, you may be ranked in the top 5. So there's a lot riding on today, and I understand people's disappointment, but, Lauren, we couldn't do anything about that anyway. Give Missouri credit. They did what they had to do. They did a great job doing that. We didn't. So we have to control, again, what we can control, and that's our effort, that's our enthusiasm, that's everything surrounding this big game today at 12 noon.
Greg, you win this game, you win a bowl game. How much does that affect the attitude about ticket sales, other sports? Do you have a reading on that?
So it's 11, you get 11 wins, and, we want to focus on the 10th win today. But certainly it sets you up for the future. Everybody wants to win on a high note. Everybody wants to end the season feeling really good about things. And, since our game at Florida, we really responded well. We did what we had to do to stay in the race, and that didn't work out. So bottom line is we need to have that effort just like we've had the last 2 weeks and at Kentucky, and I see no reason why we shouldn't have that effort, that amount of enthusiasm. These kids are resilient. I know our coaches will have them ready to go, and we just need to have this place rocking here at 12 noon today.
Other sports, comment about the sports in the winter and the spring. I know the baseball team is excited about the new stadium. Yeah. Give us an overall assessment of the program.
No question right now, both basketball teams, we had 2 tough losses in New York. Andy Landers has a chance to win his 850th game tonight at Tennessee Tech. We've got our soccer team advanced to the NCAAs. Our volleyball team ended their season last night against Kennesaw State. And like you say, the spring sports, which have been our bread and butter in the past, look to be as strong or a little bit stronger than we were last year. And as you mentioned, the baseball stadium opening up in the middle of February. So there's a lot of great things happening, but it could all really get off to a great jump start today, Lauren.
I agree. All dogs who have any gray hair know the importance of this game. It's the most important game on our schedule. Back out to Neil.
All right. Thank you, Lauren. Thanks to Greg McGarity for joining us. Thanks to Bruce Lucia from Kroger for stopping by. Our good friend Bruce is here, and they've been so very generous over the years with Children's Healthcare of Atlanta and our game ball recipients after the games.
And Bulldog fans, GeorgiaDogs.com is your first and best source for Bulldog news, scores, highlights, interviews, and behind-the-scenes video. You can also buy authentic Dogs gear in the G-Shop or bid against other Bulldog fans in our exclusive online auctions. Visit GeorgiaDogs.com today.
Hey, fans, today Wells Fargo is making a $25 donation per every offensive yard to the Food Bank of North Georgia, up to $10,000. So fans, cheer on the Dogs together with Wells Fargo to help fight hunger in North Georgia. Coming up in about 40 minutes, Coach Mark Richten, our Scott Howard, with a scouting report of today's battle between the 8th-ranked Bulldogs and the 16th-ranked Yeller Jackets. First, let's revisit last year's epic rise from the dead rally by our Bulldogs at historic Grant Field. Down by 10, fourth quarter slipping away, the Dogs converted an essential 4th down try.
Dogs going for it on 4th and 6 from our 39-yard line. 3 receivers set. Mason in the shotgun. Snap. He looks downfield. There he throws it, and it is caught at the midfield stripe. Bennett makes the catch at the 50. He got the first down and a little bit more. Oh, he was bobbling it, juggling it a little bit, but he hung on.
You're listening to Georgia football. Now back to more of the Bulldog Tailgate Show, presented by Winn-Dixie, your game day headquarters.
Play fake Mason going for it all, throws it into the end zone. Holy smokes! Diving attempt by Godwin. He caught that ball. Holy smokes! He stretched out and slid under the goalpost and caught the ball. That is a Jedi catch right there.
Chris Conley doing his best Michael Phelps impersonation, except he wasn't a swimming pool he was diving into. Welcome back to our tailgate show from the Tate Plaza outside the UGA bookstore. Down on the field, it's Lauren Smith, and we have two of Lauren's guests up here at the tailgate with us. Lauren.
Thank you, Neil. And joining us now, the parents of Chris Conley, Georgia receiver, Charles and Christina Conley. Nice to have you guys with us, and tell everybody who's listening in, how excited do you get? I know how all the Georgia fans get excited, how all the broadcasts get excited when Chris goes out there and makes a great catch. What is your reaction in the stands?
Probably about the same. I have a tendency to get a little intense, so my wife has to calm me down sometimes.
Well, now, things go bad. If a ball slips through his fingers, do you agonize for him?
Yes, I do. I kind of have an expectation that he should catch everything. That's something that we kind of, when he first started this journey, wanted to catch everything.
He has made some terrific catches. Now, Christina, how does the mother feel when she sees her son make a big play?
Well, I was in Florida watching, actually saw a replay of the catch, and my first thought was, oh, God, did he hurt himself?
Now, that concerns every mother.
Yes.
That I remember talking to Herschel Walker's mother, that she was afraid that Herschel was so big and strong that he might hurt someone. So I said, Mrs. Walker, as long as they're not wearing red, that's what we want. But now you have seen him make plays like the big play that we just heard on the radio there, the call by Scott Howard. But now there's more to Chris Conley than making plays on the field. He's well-rounded. He's a musician. He's an excellent student. In fact, we've nominated him for a couple of academic awards. The folks at Georgia, all of us think he's an excellent example of a student athlete. How proud of you of his academic interest and success?
Extremely proud. We had this saying earlier on that we were more concerned about the gray matter than anything else, and that other matter, the brown, the orange, whatever sport endeavor, would take care of itself. And so we were very pleased that he kept those things pretty strong, and very excited about his future.
Well, he told me once, I think, coming along, that he had to do his schoolwork first. When he was younger in grade school, he couldn't go out and play until he had done his homework, and then as he got older, that rule was still in place. Why did you give that emphasis to the academic side of his endeavors?
I think, more so discipline. If you're disciplined in your schoolwork and you're going to be disciplined, I think, all through life. So that's just one of the things that, kind of emphasize. And, with my wife being a teacher, that's just something that we just try to instill in all of our kids.
Well, I want to let Neil and Eric, Scott, everybody listening in on a little something. I thought, naturally thinking we would be dominant over Charleston Southern, I thought it would be neat to have Chris sing the national anthem. So I went to Coach Rick first, and he said okay. I went to Greg McGarrity, he said okay. And I went to Chris, and he says, maybe. And then finally he said no. And I says, well, I've got everybody approved. To approve it, he says, well, I just don't want to do that. Now, the reason he didn't was he didn't want it to be a distraction to his teammates, and I think that says a lot about him. Did you all know that we invited him to sing the national anthem?
No, but he's had several invitations to do things of that nature, and he has opted out here lately. So I'm respecting his growth and his decision-making skills. We've taught him. A wise woman told me, you've taught them well. and you don't want to give the impression that they can't make good decisions. So keep your mouth closed. And so I respect his right to make those decisions, and I know he has a good reason for doing so. Yeah.
Well, I think I respect him too, but just think what we missed. Sports Center, would they have gone crazy with a guy singing the national anthem and then playing a game? And he wants to be in the TV business, movie business, so that's why I wanted him to do it.
Listen, I would have loved it, I would have said, Grandma, look, it would have been a great opportunity, I believe, for him. But you know what, just like everybody else, the often poised and together Chris Conley, sometimes I guess he gets a little nervous as well.
Well, we certainly have a high regard for him. He's quiet, sort of not withdrawn, but laid back, let's say. That's what Chris is, and he's a fine performer and a fine young man. And we'd like to thank you all for joining us, and we go back with Neil Williamson.
All right, thank you, Lauren. Charles, Christina, thank you so much.
Thank you.
No, this is for me. I was just reaching out. Great to see you both. Chris, great kid. And you have other children here.
Yes.
Is that right? Tell us.
My daughter's here and my nephew.
Oh, good. Great to see you both. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let's pause 10 seconds for station identification. This is the Bulldog Sports Network from IMG. Chris Conley with 3 catches for 68 yards and 2 TDs last week against Charleston Southern. He has moved up to a tie for 5th place on the Bulldogs' all-time touchdown receptions list with 19. Thanks again to Charles and Christina Conley for sharing their time with us this morning and for sharing their son with the Bulldog Nation. Dogs fans, for all your holiday shopping needs, make sure you stop by your neighborhood Winn-Dixie or Harvey's. As proud supporters of Georgia football, they're stocked up to make sure that your doghouse is set for the family and friends coming to visit. Winn-Dixie and Harvey's, proud supporters of the Georgia Bulldogs. Today, 8th-ranked Georgia aims for its 10th win of the season versus number 16 Georgia Tech. Who could forget 2005? Tech barreling down the field late in the 4th quarter with designs on beating the Dogs.
They got 78 seconds. Reggie Ball underneath, puts that tight end, puts him over on the right side. Ball comes back, throws a bullet, and we intercepted on the 5. The Dogs have got a man going down the sideline. Tim Jennings is going to go out of bounds deliberately around the 40. He stepped in front of Bilbo. Tim Jennings grabbed the ball exactly on the 5, all by himself, and streaked down the side. We may have saved our whatchamacallit. Tim Jennings streaking down the side.
Sit on the. Hi, we're back at the bookstore and talking to some fans out here. It's so great to have folks coming up and saying hello. And remember, if you come by the bookstore and say hello to us, the first 100 fans get Lauren's autograph for free. So make sure that you are there for that. Let's cue up the U2 because it's time for Eric Zeyer's Desires for today's Georgia Tech game. Z?
Well, first, no yards after contact today. This Tech team can score on every single play. We know how explosive they are. We're going to have to win those one-on-one matchups, and that means first man to the ball brings the ball carrier down every single time. Also need to start fast. There is a cloud of disappointment right now sitting over Athens after Arkansas couldn't propel the Dogs into Atlanta in the SEC championship game. If we don't start fast, it could be a long afternoon as you start to think about that just a little bit. And then finally, get off the field. This Georgia Tech offense averaging 58% conversion on 3rd down. That allows them to lead to a dominating 34 minutes of time of possession per game. Have got to get them off the field and get our offense more possessions.
All right, thank you, Z. Coach Mark Richt gives us a scouting report of the Yellow Jackets in about 30 minutes. It's breakfast with the Bulldogs from the Classic City. And how about some Larry Munson, an old number 34, busting up the Yellow Jackets? You got to love it.
Jones wide in motion to the left. Try to run a draw with Herschel Walker. He drives off the tackle. 5 yards, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. Herschel, there goes Herschel. Touchdown! He has just broken the all-time record for a freshman back, 64 or 65 yards. The stadium went bananas because there went Herschel again.
back on the Tailgate Show as we head towards kickoff coming up at noon today against Georgia Tech. And as everyone knows, it's senior day, and it's a very special day for many of our players, and obviously very special for Chris Conley. Chris, it's gone by quickly, hasn't it?
It has, and playing in this game today is going to be something that's special for all of us, and something that we didn't want to come that soon.
Right.
It seems like it just yesterday. It was my first time playing in that stadium, and now it's going to be, my last opportunity to wear the red and black.
When I talked to Coach Rick earlier in the week, we talked about you, and I asked him if he remembers some of the things about you when he recruited you. He said he remembered you had a list of goals. Talk about that list and how maybe that has changed or how it has remained the same for you.
I wrote my sophomore year of high school. I wrote a list of goals, some having to do with my high school senior season. And then going into college, I wanted to go to a university, commit there. I wanted to be a contributor for 4 years, and I wanted to be somebody that they could count on. I wanted to help that team win, and I wanted to have an opportunity to play at the next level after that. While I was in college, I wanted to get a degree, and, I wanted to find, God's woman for me. And so those were some of the things that I wrote down on that list. And obviously, as time went on, I added some things to that list before my senior year. And just more specific goals on taking my craft to the next level, right, and being a better player and things like that. So, that list has been with me this whole time, and I've been fortunate enough to accomplish some things on it.
You've had a great career, Chris, and I want to talk a little bit about this year because Hudson Mason started out the year a little slow. I know fans got on him a little bit, but Hudson has become a very, very good quarterback for this team, and the passing game right now is the best it's ever been.
Yeah, it's been lights out, and I think, at the beginning of the season, a lot of people were expecting Hudson to be Aaron, and Hudson's not Aaron. He's his own person. He's his own quarterback. And as the season's gone on, he's really grown into that role and grown into who he is, and the passing game's just taken off. And, it's been great to see him anticipate throws and go out there and be a playmaker, not just a game manager. He's been a playmaker, and this offense has responded.
Is there one moment in your career, looking back on it, I know this may be a tough one to spring on you, that has been your favorite moment of being a Georgia Bulldog?
I don't know if I can narrow it down to just one moment, but I can say in general, just the time that I get to spend with my teammates, it's really a brotherhood here. And I remember that was one of the things that drew me to Georgia is the camaraderie and the brotherhood, and being able to be a part of that, and that legacy has been something that I'll cherish forever.
Well, you've had a great career. Congratulations. Congratulations for the next level, too, okay?
Thank you.
All right, that's Chris Conley. Hondo, let's send it back to you.
Hey, thank you, Tony, and great to hear from Chris, too. Let's find out who our Trusted Choice players to watch are this week, brought to you by Trusted Choice. Free to do what's right for you. Find your local Trusted Choice independent insurance agent at trustedchoice.com. Okay, Z, who are your picks?
Well, on the offensive side of the ball, it's Malcolm Mitchell. We're going to come out and want to establish the run behind Nick Chubb and that dominant offensive line, but Malcolm Mitchell's going to have to step up big today to take advantage of what will be some opportunistic looks that we're going to have. 21 catches, 2 touchdowns on the year. Look for him to add to all of those totals in pretty dynamic fashion. On the defensive side of the ball, Amarlo Herrera leads the team right now with 93 tackles. He's going to have ample opportunities to grow that total as well. Need a big game out of him.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Eric. Kickoff today against Tech is at 12:01. Dogs fans, for all your holiday shopping needs, make sure you stop by your neighborhood Winn-Dixie or Harvey's. As proud supporters of Georgia football, they're stocked up to make sure your doghouse is set for the family and friends coming to visit. Winn-Dixie and Harvey's are proud supporters of the Georgia Bulldogs.
And win a pair of Southwest Airlines tickets every week in our biggest dog fan photo contest. Share your picture on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter with the hashtag UGALUV contest, or visit GeorgiaDogs.com for more details.
Coach Mark Richt with Scott Howard in less than 30 minutes. As we head to break, here's a legendary highlight from the Bulldogs' recent supremacy over the Yellow Jackets. And Larry Munson on the Bulldog Sports Network from IMG.
Luke Manget, who has been an outstanding kicker, and he'll try it from out on our 39. We're going to have Bosch jump in the middle, you think? And he did it. He blocked it. Bosch Bailey blocked it. It rolled back 15 yards. We pick it up around the 17-yard line, and they'll wrestle us out of bounds there. Bosch Bailey timed with a great leap of his and blocked that ball.
The Bulldog Tailgate Show continues with this Bulldog Point of Pride, presented by Georgia Farm Bureau Insurance. Contact them at gfb.org. Now for the 411 on the University of Georgia, here's Steve Bell.
Hey, dog fans, congratulations to UGA Forestry Professor Dr. Kim Coder. Dr. Coder has been awarded an International Arboriculture Award for his service and commitment to community forestry. The Award of Merit is the highest global award the organization confers to arborists and urban foresters. Coder, an internationally renowned tree health expert, has been with UGA's Warnell School of Forestry and Natural Resources since 1985. And that's another Bulldog Point of Pride.
The Bulldog Tailgate Show continues now on the Bulldog Sports Network from IMG.
Georgia leading 36-10, minute and 44. Fellows coming up over the ball. On a many seniors, these from Hartwell, Georgia. We split 2 men out. 4th down. Zier back, right down the middle for a touchdown. He hit the tight end, James Warner, the junior out of Noonan.
How about that? Eric Zier to James Warner. Nice. 1993. We remember that game?
I sure do remember that game. James was a great tight end for us, played well. It was. It's always good to hear those highlights against the hated Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets.
You never lost to Tech, did you?
Not one time. You can keep saying that, too. Over and over. It's
you never lost to Tech, did you?
Not one time.
No,
not one time.
No, you didn't. That's beautiful. Okay, today it's the Bulldogs versus the Yellow Jackets. It's the 107th meeting. UGA aiming to make it 13 out of the last 14. First, though, we'd like to teach the world to sing.
In perfect harmony.
Yes, that's a great idea. Perfect harmony. Unfortunately, the four of us are tone deaf, so instead we'll marvel you with this week's predictions. Scott Howard's up in the Larry Munson broadcast booth. Lauren's down between the hedges. It's Alabama-Birmingham at Southern Miss. I'm going to tell you the Blazers will destroy the Golden Eagles today. Scott?
The Blazers will destroy the Golden Eagles. Okay.
Yes.
The Blazers are 5-6. They're rocking. Southern Miss is 3-8. There must not have been many games to pick from this week.
No, there were not.
I'm gathering with this.
Wait till you see the second one.
The Golden Eagles have lost 4 in a row, by the way, as we go Conference USA today. I'm going to pick Southern Mississippi to win at home over the Blazers, who are probably a little dejected because, from what I'm hearing, their football program may be on the outs.
Maybe on the outs.
Yes, and I'm going to jump on that bandwagon as well. Albeit the underdog, I like Southern Miss today.
Lauren?
Oh, my gosh, I didn't know they were playing.
They used to be good.
Yeah, well, Southern Miss. Yeah,
Southern Miss, yeah.
Lauren, so who do you like, UAB or Southern Miss? It's at Southern Miss.
All right, I'll take I'm going against my home team preference today and take the Blazers.
I figured Lauren would jump on board with me. Attaboy, Lauren. Purdue at Indiana. Lauren, who do you like?
Well, not either one.
Okay.
I mean,
you have to word it differently, Neil.
Purdue.
Lauren, who's Leonard's loser in this?
Who do you pick? There you go.
Purdue ought to be where they could win a game, but they're both dead even in all kinds of statistics I've seen. Indiana's playing at home, but Indiana ain't ever beat anybody in football. Purdue.
Missouri.
They did beat Missouri.
At Columbia.
Nice.
Don't bring that up.
Nice. Scott?
Hoosiers have lost their last 6 games, but I'm going to pick them to win today at home.
You know what? Just because Indiana put it to Missouri, and I'm already a little bit dejected around that entire set of events, I'm going to pick Indiana to win today.
Okay. The teams are horrible. Who picked this game anyway? Anyway, I'm going to go with the Hoosiers because I really liked Dennis Hopper in that movie. Finally, our all-state guaranteed pick of the week, Mississippi State at Ole Miss. Eric Zier.
Well, Ole Miss started out with so much hope in that program. They've obviously fallen on some hard times. Today, it's go Bulldogs, Hell State.
Okay, Scott Howard.
Yeah, I'm on that train. I like Mississippi State to win away from home today.
The fairy tale season for Ole Miss squished pretty flat in November, but I like Ole Miss winning the turnover battle and the upset in this game. Lauren?
Ole Miss has won, the home team has won 9 out of the last 10. I'm going with the home team.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Lauren. Thank you, Scott.
And thank you, Milton Martin Honda in Gainesville. If you think you'll get a better deal on a better car at Milton Martin Honda, you got that right.
All right, coming up in 15 minutes or so, Coach Mark Richt sits down with Scott Howard for an exclusive Q&A about today's Georgia Tech showdown. We kick off at 12:01 Between the Hedges on the Bulldog Sports Network from IMG.
Setting the table for Dogs football.
And Douglas easily into the end zone for the touchdown.
You're listening to the Bulldog Tailgate Show.
Dogs moving left to right. Tech at the punt on its first possession of the second half. We run out of the eye. Play fake to Marshall. Murray with time. Sets and throws. He's got a man. Caught. J. Rome at the 5. Rome into the end zone for the touchdown.
A fun memory from Georgia's 2012 triumph over Tech. Now down to Lauren Smith standing by Between the Hedges. Lauren?
Thank you, Neil. Joining us, Coach Paul Johnson of Georgia Tech. Paul, we'd like to thank you for taking the time out through your pregame schedule to visit with us. A lot of people who are familiar with you, your team, say this has been the best team you've had in some time. How good is your Georgia Tech team?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if it's the best team we've had. I think we've been pretty resilient, and the kids have played hard. And so we're excited to play today, see how we do.
Paul, your quarterback, Justin Thomas, see the ideal quarterback for your system?
Well, I think his skill set fits what we want to do pretty well. He's got good speed and quickness. He's a good passer. He's not the biggest guy or tallest guy, but he's been real efficient for us all year.
He runs your offense the way you want it run?
Pretty much for the most part. I mean, I think he's played well all year.
Now, most coaches worry about their quarterback getting hit. In your system, a quarterback's got to take a lot of hits. What kind of, when you recruit a guy, is his ruggedness part of your decision to choose him?
I think that might be a bit of a misnomer. I don't know that our guys take any more hits than anybody else's, but they run the ball some, but those guys are kind of used to it, so I mean, that's what they do, and they get used to it, but they're not usually getting blindsided from the blind side on pass rush, so it's a trade-off.
Paul, Florida State is the division winner in the ACC, and you're going to meet in the championship playoff game. You got just a week to prepare for Florida State. How good are they, in your opinion?
Well, they're really good.
Number one
in the country, and have won 27 or 28 straight games, something like that, 26. We really haven't looked at Florida State. I mean, Georgia's got a really good football team again, and so we spent all our time preparing for this game.
Paul, we'd like to thank you for joining us, and as we go, we'd like to get you to give us a update on your golf game. All of my friends who play with you at Cherokee say you're a pretty good golfer.
Well, I haven't played since July, so my golf game wouldn't be very good right now.
All right, Paul, thanks for joining us, and we go back out to Neil Williamson.
Okay. All right, thank you, Lauren. We're here outside the bookstore and taking some photos with some fans, which is great. Scott Howard and Dogs coach Mark Richter in the on-deck circle, waiting to give you today's scouting report on number 8 Georgia against number 16 Georgia Tech. First, though, a classic from Larry Munson. The Red and Black had lost 3 straight to Tech in November of 2001. Then we buried that streak like a hatchet through a stick of butter.
Ball is on the 26.5, third down Tech. They only need 3.5 yards. Fourth quarter, they're 4 points down. 4 wideouts, but they got them in closer. Now there's only 3 wideouts. They run one in motion, and Gotzi runs, throws a pass, intercepted by Wansley. Touchdown, touchdown, touchdown!
Oh, man.
Gotzi made a horrible mistake. He bootlegged out to the right. Wansley read it and shot in. Nobody could even chase him. Wansley, like he did at Arkansas a year ago, caught one out on the flat and ran down in the left corner. And now it's 27-17.
It's the perfect way to begin your Georgia football Saturday.
He catches it on the floor, tiptoes into the end zone, touchdown!
Welcome back to the Bulldog Tailgate Show.
Man, it's 7-7. We are in an eye. Shockley underneath. They're coming up into a six-man line with the snap. Shockley goes back, and he's going to throw it in the end zone. Touchdown! Brian McClendon. The scoreboard just changed. It's 13-7. It ain't over.
2005, so much fun as the Dogs knocked off Tech that afternoon or evening. Lauren Smith down on the field with the man who made that touchdown grab. Lauren.
Thank you. That was a great catch there, Brian. Replayed your catch from the pass of DJ Shockley in Atlanta to beat Tech 14-7, 2005. You enjoy replaying that play?
I'd say it is. It's a good. It was a great time, a great memory. But just like I mentioned to most of the players, and obviously that's come up this week, is really not about me. It's not about that game. It's not even about that catch. It's about today. It's about us, about what we're going to do today, and that's where our focus needs to be.
You are the honorary captain. That's not often that we have an honorary captain who's an active coach. So that means the honorary captain has a lot to say to the team on Fridays. You just alluded to one thing you said, but what else did you tell the team pregame yesterday?
Really, the whole gist of it was really just to make sure that no matter what, you want to fight for each other, and just remembering what the game of football means, and what the game of football means should be important to you. And if that's the case, then your mind will always be right, and you'll always have the right motivation on why you're doing things when you're out there between the hedges, or when we're out here at practice, or whenever it may be. But just making sure that no matter what, we're fighting for each other and with each other.
Do the current players recognize the importance of this this rival game?
I think it's hard not to. I think it's too hard not to be honest with you. But it's always an important game, no matter what. I mean, you got to make sure that you're doing it in mind that you're going to have to play Tech at the end of the year, and no matter what the records are, and no matter what the season went like, you're going to get the best shot that you've probably ever seen from them, even more so than what you've seen all week on film. So I think they do understand it. I think they understand the importance of the game, and I think they understand the importance of this rivalry.
Brian, I think most folks would say that if Georgia's up and ready to play, they should have at least a slight advantage at home. Do you feel the team is ready?
I think the team is ready. I don't know about the advantage part, to be honest with you, because like I said, no matter what, you're gonna get this team's best shot, and I mean, you'll be crazy to think anything different. So you're going to get more effort. You're going to get them playing faster. You might probably get schematically some different things that they have shown all year on film of when you look at them. So, but I think this team is up for the challenge. I think we're ready to play, and I think I think those guys, like I said, understand what's going to be at stake today.
All right, Brian McClendon, Georgia's running back coach, done a fine job coaching and recruiting for Georgia. We go back out to Neil Williamson.
All right, thank you, Lauren, and thank you, Coach B. Mack. Georgia fans, if you want the most coverage of Georgia sports, you want GTV. GTV is the online destination for exclusive audio-video coverage, features, and highlights of Bulldogs athletics. Log on to GeorgiaDogs.com/all access right now. The best way to follow the Bulldogs is GTV. Georgia Tech comes into Athens ranked in the top 20, headed to the ACC championship game next week against Florida State. We'll hear from Eric Zier and Coach Mark Richt about how to slow down the Ramblin' Rex Flexbone option in just a few minutes.
Hi, Bulldogs. My name is Ben Rose from Atlanta, Georgia. I'm a 6th grader at Kittredge Magnet School. The Tailgate Show will continue after these messages on the Bulldog Sports Network from IMG.
Welcome back to the Bulldogs Tailgate Show. Scott Howard here with Coach Mark Richt as we take a look at today's opponent, the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. And this segment is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Coach, Georgia Tech, you know what you get when they come here. You've seen them for a number of years now and had great success. How does this team look to you this season?
They're playing great. They're 9-2. They're a really hot football team right now. They are number one in the ACC offensively in a bunch of categories: total offense, scoring offense, rushing offense, yards per completion, pass efficiency, fewest sacks, fewest interceptions. Their third down conversion rate is number one in America. Fourth down conversion rate's about 70%. You know, they're doing outstanding in turnover margin too in their league. So they're just doing a lot of things right, offensively, defensively. They've scored a bunch of points. On defense, I think they've had 6 defensive scores. They're number one in their league in defensive touchdowns. So just a great challenge. If you look at their special teams, they've blocked more kicks than anybody in the ACC as well. And they've got a kid named Golden who's averaging over 26 yards a kick return. So they're doing things well all the way around, and it's going to be a great challenge for us.
Their offense, are they a little more prone to putting the ball on the ground, and is that a factor in today's game?
Well, you know what? They've put it on the ground about the same as we have. We've actually gotten on the ball a bunch more times because we've actually fumbled it a few times, but for whatever reason, we're getting on our fumbles, and they haven't got on as many as theirs. But they do, that type of offense tends to have the ball on the ground some. But I'll tell you, this quarterback, Justin Thomas, handles the ball extremely well. I think he reads their option well. He can throw it beautifully. 15 TD passes is, I think, the most ever in the time that Coach Johnson has been there. And he's also running for over 800 yards as well. So the quarterback's really a dynamic player.
Why have you been able to have so much success in your tenure against Georgia Tech? What have you guys done right?
Well, I don't know, other than I think we take the game very seriously and we get after it the best we can. You know, we've won some very close games. You know, even last year, down 20, get it to overtime and win it there. There's been a bunch of close ball games. So that, you know, when you look at the win-loss record, it's pretty much heavy in our favor. But when you look at the scores, it hasn't been that lopsided.
How good is their defense, and how well are they playing right now?
Well, I would have to say they're opportunistic. They have created turnovers. They have scored on turnovers, like I mentioned before. They're very well coordinated. Ted Roof is an outstanding defensive coordinator, and they're only giving up 388 yards a game. They give up 165 rushing and 223 passing. But they're a team that plays hard. They're a team that is very sound, and you got to execute to get some points on the board.
All right, it's Georgia and Georgia Tech coming up here in just a little while. We'll have more with Coach Mark Richt a little bit later in the Tailgate Show. This segment is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Hondo will send it back to you for more of the show.
All right, thank you, Scott. Right around the bend, a legendary Larry Munson highlight, one of the best ever from the Georgia Tech rivalry. This year's edition of Clean Old Fashioned Hate is coming up.
Hand it off to Herschel. There's a hole.
So we'll try to kick one 100,000 miles.
Oh, stomped out. We were gone. I gave up. You did too. Look at the sugar falling out of the sky.
Georgia football history through the voice of a legend. Here's another listen back to Larry Munson's greatest calls. Sponsored by AT&T, building you a better network.
24-21, interference on Tech, and most of the stadium boos. They got the ball right down where it was on the 8-yard line. Here we are, only 14 seconds for 8 yards. We spread 4 men out. The ones in the right are kind of wide. Stafford pointing at the defense or center. Shotgun Bobo. Bobo going to take it and look and throw it in the corner. And a touchdown! Oh, my God! A touchdown in the corner! My God! In the corner! Oh, my, it couldn't have happened. 26 27-24, it flashes up. You talk about a stupid miracle. Our heart that was torn out and bleeding, we picked it up and we stuck it back inside. I can't believe this. We won 27-24, and at the end we had no business winning this game.
Georgia football. And now, time for defining moments from the last time out.
Shotgun formation is Mason, and then Chubb is the running back. Play fake, Mason with time. Steps up in the pocket, throws it deep. There's Conley. Touchdown! Yes! You called it, Z. Right there, baby.
Now let's break down the play with Eric Zier. Along with the All-American quarterback, here's Neil Hondo Williamson.
You did call it, man. You were right on that.
I did call that one, and I'll tell you, we just had the football in perfect position. It was a great play call by Mike Bobo. Quick change of possession, so you get their defense on the field unexpectedly. We had the football 30, 35-yard line, just prime position to take a shot at the end zone, and we got the coverage look that we wanted. It was actually a quarters look. It had the perfect play call for it, a little pin route, so our inside slot receiver ran an in route. He brings the safety down. We run a post route on top of that where we've got one-on-one coverage on the outside, executed perfectly, and Hudson Mason just continuing his great play, puts that football exactly where it needs to be.
Zier-esque.
Oh, yeah, much better than that.
Very nice, very nice. All right, thank you, Z.
And Academy Sports and Outdoors is a proud corporate partner of UGA Athletics. The right stuff, low price, every day.
All right, we're going to get you to come back and talk about stopping that Tech Flexbone offense. Right?
Absolutely, looking forward to it.
All right, very good. Eric Zier standing by with us. We have a whole lot more to come for. We're outside the bookstore here. Georgia and Georgia Tech today getting loaded up. Nice sold-out stadium, 93,000 people as we revisit clean, old-fashioned hate.
Hi, Bulldogs. My name is Brody Miller. I'm from Houston, Georgia. I'm a 7th grader at C.W. Davis Middle School. The Tailgate Show will continue after these messages on the Bulldog Sports Network from IMG.
You're listening to Georgia football. Now back to more of the Bulldog Tailgate Show.
3rd and 2 from the 3. They toss it to God high. Left side. Oh, we eat him up. Back at the 6-yard line. Leonard Floyd took a ride on the back of the little guy and drove him back.
Let's see more of that today as Georgia hopes to contain the edge against the Jackets' Flexbone.
I just got a feeling we're going to have to play a series or two to really get a feel for how fast it happens, and not so much fast in between plays, but when that ball snap, how fast things happen, how fast they can get you on the ground, how fast they can be up on you.
Eric Zier back with us to talk defense for the Bulldogs today. And Z, Coach Richt has plenty of years of experience against this defense, knows how quickly they can get up on you.
Boy, they absolutely can. And, we've become accustomed in college football today to seeing offenses get to the line of scrimmage and change plays in the passing game to take advantage of different defensive looks that you're going to see. Well, this triple option look does the same thing, except they do it running the football. Tremendous and intricate blocking assignments that Georgia Tech employs. They do a great job getting people on the ground, and they'll do the same thing that others do in the passing game. They'll get their play call in the right position to take advantage of defensive looks, where you're aligned on the defensive line of scrimmage. And I'll tell you, every time they snap that football, because they check and get themselves into position to do such, have a chance of taking it to the house.
All right, let's get crazy with some Tech offensive numbers.
Total offense, scoring offense, rushing offense, yards per completion, passing efficiency, fewest sacks, fewest interceptions thrown, 3rd down conversions, 4th down conversions, and number 1 in turnover margin.
It does give them an edge, and it does allow those guys to, to run multiple things now that they have a good quarterback that can sling it around a little bit.
That's Coach Mark Richt, and then Damian Swan just talking about how efficient this Georgia Tech offense has been. And you heard all the categories where Georgia Tech is leading in the ACC. And just to give you some numbers and put this into context, in total offense, averaging 469 yards per game. That's number one in the SEC. Scoring offense, 38 per game. That's number one in the ACC. Rushing offense, 328 yards per game. Passes per completion, 18.3 yards per pass completion. Passing efficiency, they're leading the ACC. Third down conversion, you heard Coach Rick mention that, 58% of the time on third down, they are converting. They are explosive. They are fast. They can take it to the house every time they touch it, and our defense is going to have their hands full.
All right, thank you, Eric. Z will be back in less than 10 minutes. We'll game plan for today's Georgia Tech game with him. 8th-ranked Georgia kicking off at 12:01 against the Yellow Jackets.
And Dog fans, join us every Sunday from 10 until noon. Live from the Hilltop Grill as host Jeff Dantzler and Kevin Butler break down all of the action from today's game.
As we head to break, we remember Paul Oliver, a cornerback whose defense on Megatron Calvin Johnson is legendary and whose interception sealed Georgia's 2006 triumph over Tech.
Tech shotgun. Reggie Ball takes it. He's back. He's circling to his right, and a man jumped in front of him. And Oliver intercepted the ball on the other side, our side of the 50. They went to Calvin Johnson deep. Oliver intercepted, my God, 61 seconds.
The Bulldog Tailgate Show continues with this Bulldog Point of Pride. Presented by Georgia Farm Bureau Insurance. Contact them at gfb.org. Now for the 411 on the University of Georgia, here's Steve Bell.
Hey, Dog fans, UGA students just get better and better. The incoming freshman class this fall semester broke the ceiling on academic criteria set by previous classes. The 014 class began with the highest average GPA to date, 3.9 out of a possible 4.0. They also garnered the highest test scores for entering freshmen, and UGA also received a record number of 21,300 apps for this year's freshman class. And that's another Bulldog Point of Pride.
The Bulldog Tailgate Show continues now on the Bulldog Sports Network from IMG.
And it'll be second down and 8 for the Dogs from our own 17-yard line. Snap to Mason in the shotgun. Handoff Chubb again. This time he bounces outside. 25, 30, 35, 40. Chubb to midfield, far sideline. Chubb to the 30. Chubb to the 20. He's outrunning the defense. Touchdown, Nick Chubb.
Bulldogs fans licking their chops at the thought of Nick Chubb and Sony Michel running wild against Georgia Tech today between the hedges. In 1995's edition of this great rivalry, the Dogs won at Grant Field on a wobbly last-second field goal. I can still see Coach Ray Goff jumping for joy on the sideline.
Ryan Sanderson holds, and Parkman tries a field goal. Good! Cannon Parkman hit one with 47 seconds. Sanderson holding, and Cannon Parkman hit a knuckleball through, not end over end. Cannon Parkman just struck a long field goal on 4th down, and the Dogs take a lead 18-17.
All right, Z, I got to share a note with you, okay? A couple of years ago, I Googled Cannon Parkman Tech, one of your old teammates.
Of course, that's right.
To find out how far the field goal was. I wasn't sure. I didn't have a press guide with me. Here are two items that popped up on a site called Sting Talk, and I quote, item number 1. Cannon Parkman ruined my freshman year. Burn in HE double hockey sticks. I hate the University of Georgia so much, unquote. The other one. We were 6-4 and needed a win for a bowl game. UGA was 5-5 and Ray Goff was already fired. We led 17-7 early in the fourth, and those word not suitable for family radio came back. Their last drive took about 9 minutes, I think. It was a slow and horrible death. Cannon Parkman's kick still gives me nightmares, unquote. I don't know about you, but those quotes make me all warm inside.
They warm the soul on a cold day, and one that is filled with a little bit of disappointment coming into today.
Yeah.
it warms your spirit, and it makes yesterday kind of go away and fade into the darkness because you know how much is at stake at 12 o'clock.
12 o'clock. God bless you, Cannon Parkman, wherever you are. Bulldogs fans, GeorgiaDogs.com is your first and best source for Bulldogs news, scores, highlights, interviews, and behind-the-scenes video. You can also buy authentic Dogs gear in the G-Shop or bid against other Bulldog fans in our exclusive online auctions. Visit GeorgiaDogs.com today. Kickoff just over an hour away. Scott Howard returns with Bulldogs coach Mark Richt in the next 30 minutes or so. And Eric Zier's game plan is next. If your blood runs red and black, don't touch that dial. This is the Bulldog Sports Network from IMG.
There we go. Just like that, every day.
Now, our pregame coverage continues with today's game plan. Presented by Country Financial. For your auto, home, life, and retirement needs, call the Country Financial representative near you. Grow your own way.
Play fake Mason. He's going to throw. Avoids the rush. Moves to his right. Throws it in the end zone. Touchdown. Justin Scott Wesley with the touchdown reception. Running to the right corner of the end zone.
Our Bulldogs get after it today with the ACC Coastal Champion Yellow Jackets at noon. Coach Mark Richt always wary of Tech's ability to hit the home run.
You'll see a lot of 3, 4, 3, 2.5, and then bam, big play, pass or run.
That's Coach Mark Richt, and boy, this Georgia Tech offense just so dominant in so many different categories on the offensive side of the ball. We just ran through a whole litany of areas where they are number one in the ACC, rushing offense, scoring offense, third down conversions offensively, where they're at 58% on the year. Just an amazing stat, and it just shows their capability of staying on the field, but their ability to take it to the house on every single play because of the intricate blocking schemes that they have. Their ability to check into plays, to take advantage of what the defense is giving them at any given time. We're used to seeing passing offenses do that in the passing game. They do it in the run game, and boy, they've got the talent and the speed and the athleticism to put a lot of points on the board.
All right, more from Coach Richt, please.
I was watching a film where he's rolling out to the right, and we stopped the camera when the ball left his hand, and the receiver was about 2 steps before he stuck his foot in the ground and came back on a little comeback route. Guy turned his head around, bam, right there. I mean, you can't defend that.
Eric, this Tech quarterback that Coach Richt is talking about there, Justin Thomas, he's been terrific through the year this year, especially more than we've seen with other Tech quarterbacks in the recent past.
Yeah, no question about that. Thomas, his passing efficiency rating, 161.22. To put that into perspective, as good as Hudson Mason has been and as efficient as he's played, Justin Thomas at that 161 rating is ahead of Hudson Mason, so obviously doing some good things in the air right now. But make no mistake, it all starts with him on the ground and his running ability. He's a leading rusher for this Georgia Tech team, averaging over 5 yards per clip on the ground, but he can hurt you. There's no question in the air, averaging over 18 yards per completion. So when they're throwing the football, they are getting big chunks of yardage, and it makes what already was an explosive Georgia Tech offense even more so because they are now a threat in the throwing game.
As we continue our game plan with Eric Zier, we turn to what kind of pressure the Jackets offense places on Georgia's.
You usually probably get, 9, 8 possessions a game. And when you play a team like Tech, if they're rolling and they're effective in what they're doing, you may maybe get 5. So it's a game where you have to start fast, and it's a game where you have to do your best to get touchdowns and instead of field goals.
That's Georgia quarterback Hudson Mason just talking about the premium of getting 7 points, getting touchdowns when you get into the red zone and when you have opportunities and not field goals. We've talked about earlier in the program the need to respond and to hold serve against this Georgia Tech offense. And I think what we'll see is a mentality very similar to what we saw against Auburn. If you go back to that football game, early in the game when it was still tight, we actually called timeout on a 4th and goal. We were going to kick a field goal. At that time, the big offensive line taught Coach Richt into going for it. We do go for it, score a touchdown, put 6 points on the board, get the 7th with the extra point. Very similar mindset going into this football game. You know that when Tech has the ball, they're going to be able to put points up against our defense. They do it against everybody. Our ability to score often, and take advantage of every possession, absolutely critical. And as we move through this football game, getting 7 points in that red zone, critical to our success today.
They have a very capable field goal kicker in Butker as well. Okay, thank you, Eric Zier, Scott Howard, and Mark Richt with the Inside Skinny in less than 15 minutes here on our Tailgate Show. Plus, Scott, Lauren, and Eric are next. We'll discuss today's critical rivalry game. We're outside the bookstore on a spectacular fall afternoon here in Athens, Georgia. Thanks so much to all the folks who have come by to say hello today. And I think we have about 50 people left in line. They can get a free autograph from Lauren before we have to start charging. Right, kickoff at 12:01 here in Athens. Number 8, Georgia. Number 16, Georgia Tech on the Bulldog Sports Network from IMG.
Welcome back to the Bulldog Tailgate Show. My name's Drew Brandon with you from the IMG Network studios. Let's preview what's coming up in the SEC today. We'll also take a look at some games in the top 25 as rivalry week finally hits this weekend. Starting at noon in the SEC, South Carolina will take on 21st-ranked Clemson from Death Valley. Also at noon, Kentucky will pay visit to 22nd-ranked Louisville. At 3:30 this afternoon from Tallahassee, Florida, we'll see its final game with Will Muschamp as the head coach as they take on the 3rd-ranked Florida State Seminoles, who are an undefeated 11-0 on the season. Remember, the last time when Ron Zook was the head coach at Florida and he was fired before the end of the season, Florida went on and ruined Florida State's title hopes then as well. At 3:30 this afternoon from Oxford, Mississippi, it's the Egg Bowl, 4th-ranked Mississippi State, 19th-ranked Ole Miss. Here's Dan Mullen talking about what's been one of the better defenses this season in the SEC in Ole Miss.
Very aggressive style. You see, they'll be pressuring almost 50% of the time plus. So the very, very, very aggressive style with some. They're not maybe the biggest group defense we're going to play, but they're athletic, quick, fast, and they run the ball really well.
Mississippi State at 10-1 on the season, 6-1 in SEC play, still has an opportunity to win the SEC West, but that would take a loss today from number 1 Alabama's. In the Iron Bowl today in Tuscaloosa, the Crimson Tide take on 15th-ranked Auburn at 7:45. Here's Nick Saban talking about the balance on the Tiger offense.
Some of their most effective plays that complement their inside running game is the way they run the ball in the perimeter. And I think that's the thing that makes it so hard to defend. So it's not that they're one or the other. I think it's the combination of the two and their ability to throw play-action passes, vertically down the field to some very good receivers that, make them, one of the best offensive teams around.
Number 1 Alabama, 15th-ranked Auburn at 7:45 tonight. Again, if the Crimson Tide win tonight, they head to the SEC championship game against Missouri next week. One other game in the SEC today at 4 o'clock. The Vanderbilt Commodores still looking for that first SEC victory of the season. Commodores are sitting at 0-7, and they take on the Tennessee Vols. And we'll continue with the Bulldog Tailgate Show out with Hondo.
All right, thank you, Drew. Nice job there, buddy. Great to see syndicated talk show host, Atlanta talk show host Neil Bortz came by and joined us for quite a while here at the Tailgate Show. And member of our broadcast team for about 15 years, the big dog, Alan Hunt, came by as well. It's great to see those old friends joining us. Let's pause 10 seconds for station identification. This is the Bulldog Sports Network from IMG. Scott Howard, Lauren Smith, Eric Zier, and your old buddy Hondo on the radio with you from Athens, where the fans are clad in red. Coach Richt asked for a red out today for our sold-out game. Sadly, was some of the luster removed from this contest due to Missouri's win yesterday, which pushed UGA out of the SEC championship. Scott?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Yes, hi.
I just put my headphones on.
That's okay. Good to have you with us, Scott.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, we're talking about some of the luster maybe being washed away from this game with Missouri winning yesterday.
Yeah, a little bit, but you just got to get over it. I mean, it sounds kind of trite and kind of simple, but there's nothing Georgia can do about the fact that they won't be playing in the SEC championship game this time next Saturday. You've got a very good opponent staring at you on the other end of the field right now, and they want to kick your teeth in and win one here at home and rip off some hedges and go home to Atlanta with it. So you got to be able to stop that and beat these guys, and then hopefully you position yourself for a good bowl game. It won't be a championship game, but you'll take what the situation is at this point.
I don't think that game yesterday should keep you from wanting to win this game just as much. Greg McGarrity and I talked about this on the field. Forget all of the Missouri crap. That's over and done with. We had no control over that. What you got control over is how you play today, and hopefully you go out there and play well enough to win the game. So, what's done is done. Let's look ahead and let's get ready to win the most important game on the schedule.
Yeah, it's well said. It's exactly right. Although waking up this morning, I know I had a little cloud of disappointment sitting on top of me, and it's tough to swallow, especially when you watch that football game yesterday. Arkansas, it looked like had so many different ways to win the football game, and just kept handing it over to Missouri, and not getting a chance to get to Atlanta. Obviously, going to be disappointing. But as you just get ready for this football game, as we stood out here and had a chance to interact with all of the fans, if you ever forget, which is hard to do, and remember the importance of this football game and what you need to do once you step out there on that football field. The players are going to be ready to go, but important we do start fast.
Take your frustrations out on Tech.
There you go.
That's it, Lauren.
Forget about the game.
There's a 24-hour rule, too, and we're still within the 24 hours of mourning or celebrating, so I understand some of our feelings, and if other people have those feelings as well, of being a little bitter right now. Now, the Georgia players must stay focused on today's rivalry matchup against 16th-ranked Tech, as the guys are saying. Jackets have lost 5 straight in the series.
We know how much this game means to our fans. We know how much this game means to our coaches. We know how much this game means to each other. And we're going to do everything in our power to put together a plan, go out and execute it, and try to get it done, with less drama than last year.
That's Georgia defensive back Damian Swan, and the less drama from last year. What he's talking about is how quickly Tech got out into a big dominating lead. We were able to fight back, claw back, and find a way to win that football game. The way this Georgia Tech offense is playing this year, though, if you fall behind by 2-3 touchdowns, boy, you're going to be in a mighty difficult spot to regain traction and come back. So important that we get going very quickly. Important that we get going quickly as well, because that disappointment that we're talking about, while I don't think we're going to see it right off the bat in this football game, if we find ourselves behind and off to a slow start, that has a tendency to snowball a little bit, where you start thinking about the what ifs. So important we get out of the gates quickly and put the pedal down behind Nick Chubb in this running game. And then on the defensive side of the football, have to be disciplined in our assignments. We've got to attack. We've got to win the one-on-one matchups. And then ultimately, when we get to the ball carriers, we've got to bring them down with the first man there.
The Tech triple option will wear hard on a defense, both physically and mentally.
How you have to be ready every single snap, because any snap it could go to the house. If one guy makes a mistake, or one guy decides he's not going to play good fundamentals this play, or if one guy decides he's going to do his own thing, bam.
Scott Howard, obviously any offense can hit you for a score on any play. What is it about this flex bone that gives Coach Mark Richt extra worry?
Well, it's probably a little bit of that Florida game seeping into his memory banks when we saw how we didn't contain the edge in that ball game, and Florida runs for 400-plus yards on us, and that's what can happen here if Georgia doesn't complete its assignments. As Coach Rick just said, guys got to do their job. They can't do other guys' jobs. They have to do what they're taught to do, and trust your teammate to do his, and then you can take care of business. You can take care of your assignments. I mean, Tech everybody looks at this rushing offense and thinks, oh, wow, the wheels they're really just rolling for Georgia Tech. They're so dominant on the ground, but you look at their numbers, they've scored 34 rushing touchdowns. Look at Georgia. Georgia scored 34 rushing touchdowns. Look at Tech. They've got long runs of 65, 63, 57, 53. Okay, let's look at Georgia's running games. Georgia's got long runs of 83, 75, 51. I mean, the end result is comparable. It's just it's a different method of doing it.
Yeah. Well, if we're going to compare Tech to Georgia and offensively, and they do match up or come close, that does scare me. It does scare me because we've got quite an offense. All right. More from Coach Rick, please.
Jeremy has had experience, and I think all of our coaches have had some experience defending this type of offense. But going, head-to-head with Georgia Tech, I don't believe they did at Florida State last year. So it'll be the first shot out of the cannon, so to speak.
Lauren Smith, how much of an advantage is it for a defensive staff to have prepared for Tech's flex bone before, something that Coach Jeremy Pruitt and his staffers have not?
Well, you see that some teams are able to solve that defense better than others. Of course, the level of competition figures into it too. The fact is, you don't see it every week. It creates a recognition problem. Like Ert Russell always said, that defense was recognition and reaction. So the speed of the game is going to. Charleston Southern, we saw it, wasn't really that tough as it turned out. But the speed of the game from Charleston Southern to this week is going to be magnified.
Oh, yeah.
So once our defense gets accustomed to it, maybe they'll be able to make plays. And in the meantime, we get the ball, we got to score.
All right. Thank you, Lauren. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Eric Zier. Stick around with us, okay? In 2 minutes, the voice of the dog, Scott Howard, returns with Coach Richt for the Inside Skinny on today's game between the Jackets and the Dogs. As we take it to break, let's reach back a bunch of years to my favorite Georgia Tech game ever, my old classmate and friend Buck Ballou playing hero in Sanford Stadium.
Going for two. They're going for two, and young Buck Ballou looking, and he throws. No, interference. They knock the receiver down. 3 flags. Douglas taking a 6-5, packed close. Dogs need a yard for possible victory, and Ballou picks the ball. Arnold got it. Anthony Arnold, a flag. He got 2 points. Anthony Arnold, a flanker. They ran Anthony Arnold. They pitched it delayed and got the yard. 29-28.
Thanks for tuning into the Bulldog Tailgate Show today. Scott Howard back with Georgia head coach Mark Richt as Georgia and Georgia Tech get set to play here at Sanford Stadium in just a little while. The Bulldogs, coach, a good week of practice for you. You had school was out, so it was really time to focus on your opponent, I guess, this week.
Right. It allowed us to do that. There's no limitations this week on meetings or walkthroughs or practice time. And, as a coach, you could overdo it. And I think we did a good job of not overdoing it. We didn't stray too far from our normal routine as far as how much time we put in on a weekly basis. We might have had just a little bit of more meeting time here and there, but it wasn't to the point where we're wearing these guys out. We allowed them to take advantage of the rest time that they had. And, hopefully we'll be, coming into this game with a lot of energy.
Missouri was able to win out and capture the Eastern Division yesterday in their win over Arkansas. But you said going into this week, that was out of Georgia's control, and your focus was on today's opponent, Georgia Tech.
That's right. That's the only thing we can focus on. That's the only thing we can control. So I think the guys have done a good job of keeping their minds on their business, and we're about to find out just how ready we are.
What are some of the things you feel like you need to do today successfully to come out with a victory?
There's no doubt we need to continue to run the ball well. We've had a lot of success doing that. Our play-action pass has been outstanding because of it. If we throw and catch like I know we can, it'll be a good day as far as offense is concerned. Hudson's been very accurate passer throughout this year, very high passing percentage, and has had a few drop balls too. So, if we really click throwing and catching, it'll be outstanding. Then defensively, we got to, get used to the pace of this game and get used to the high execution of their offense. It's it's impossible to simulate it with your scout team. You do the best you can. And I know our guys will be ready to play, but it may take a minute or two to get used to exactly how well they execute, how fast they execute. And, special teams always, got to get people on the ground when we kick and punt. And we got to protect when we're punting, got to protect when we're kicking, and everybody's got to, do their job.
The Bulldogs are leading the Southeastern Conference in scoring, and you're approaching school record territory as far as number of touchdowns and offense and all of that sort of thing. Was that expected by you of this team coming into this season, or has it been a bit of a surprise, the amount of success you've had getting the ball in the end zone?
Well, you hope to execute like we have been, and our coaches, led by Mike Bobo, have done a great job of planning and of carrying out the plan and getting our guys to be able to execute the things that we're trying to get done. And it kind of got built around running the ball. On the front end, we had some receiver issues early on, and our strength was at the running back position. Then it got depleted a little bit, but there's enough from Chubb and Brendan Douglas to kind of carry us for a little bit. Now we got Sony back, which I think is going to be a blessing, and hopefully we can continue to run the ball and like I said, get the play action pass going and score TDs rather than field goals. We'll be in good shape.
A lot of seniors are playing their final game today, not only at home, but the last regular season game that they'll play in a Bulldog uniform. Your thoughts about that?
Well, my first thought is that I'm just so appreciative of everything they've done. Really proud of these guys, and I'm really looking forward to our fan base, getting in the stadium early enough to honor these guys. We're going to spend, about the last 20 minutes before the kickoff honoring these guys, and there's a bunch of them. So I hope everybody gets there early and is ready to honor these guys by cheering for them one last time.
All right, Coach, thanks very much. We'll wish you a lot of luck, and we'll talk to you after the ball game.
Okay, Scott, thank you.
That's Coach Mark Richt as Georgia and Georgia Tech are getting set to kick off here momentarily. Hondo, we'll send it back to you for more of the Tailgate Show.
All right, thank you, Scott. As we head to break, let's remember last year's unforgettable comeback that devastated the Jackets. Second overtime, we get the ball first.
And the Dogs will start on the 25 here in the shotgun. Gurley's in the game, and he gives it to Gurley. Gurley, big hole, 20, 15, 10, 5. Give me some end zone. Yeah! 25-yard run for Todd Gurley. And the Dogs have their first lead of the night in overtime number 2. It's 40-34.
Setting the table for Dogs football.
And Douglas easily into the end zone for the touchdown.
You're listening to the Bulldog Tailgate Show.
Ball on the 6. It's 4th and 5. They can get a first down at the 1. Lee will drop back in the shotgun or in the pistol. Sims is behind him. Here's the ball game. Snap to Lee. He'll throw it in the end zone. It's batted in the air and knocked away. And it hits the ground. We hit the ground. We batted it down. Dogs win it in overtime.
Meek Wilson and Damian Swan combining to bat down that last-ditch effort by Georgia Tech. And last year's stunning comeback from the dead. Comeback by our Dogs in double overtime. In an aggregate 6 appearances, neither Ramik nor Damian has ever lost to the Yellow Jackets. Eric Zier never lost to Tech. Neither did Herschel, nor Ballou, Guy McIntyre, Terry Hogue, Freddie Gilbert, Jimmy Payne, Lastinger, Thurston, undefeated against the Jackets. David Green and Freddie Gibson, Reggie Brown, Pollock, Billy Bennett, Thomas Davis, Greg Blue, Max Jean Gillies, Inman, Velasco, Tony Taylor, Oliver. None of those guys ever lost to Tech. Bill Stanfill, Edgar Chandler, George Patton, Kent Lawrence, Larry Kahn, Ronnie Jenkins, Billy Payne. 0 losses to the North Avenue Trade School. Heinz Ward, Bryce Hunter, Brandon Tolbert, Adam Meadows, Dax Langley, Randall Godfrey, Whit Marshall owned the Jackets. Aaron Murray never lost to the Ramblin' Wreck, nor did Rantavius Wooten, Chris Burnett, Arthur Lynch, Todd Gurley, Brandon Smith, Sean Williams, Kwame Gaithers. There are probably another 100 or more lettermen from Georgia who never lost to Tech. Now, win some bar bets with this one. The youngest Yellow Jacket alive who could make the counterclaim of never having lost to Georgia in his 4 or 5 consecutive years at Tech is at least 76 years old, at least.
We've got 4 receivers out wide. Stafford retreats, looks, pumps, throw. Touchdown! 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 My God, a touchdown! 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 Massacre!
As we leave the UGA bookstore and head inside to Sanford Stadium, thank you to Tony Schiavone, our producer-engineer, Drew Branyon for his scoreboards and production from the Bulldog Studios, Adam Witten, producer, Young Jay Black is our tailgate engineer, Bulldog Jedi Chris Schiavone assists. For Scott Howard, Lauren Smith, and Eric Zier, this is Neil Hondo Williamson. The BB&T countdown to kickoff with Scott, Eric, and Chuck Dowdle is next. Then number 8, Georgia against 16th-ranked Georgia Tech. This is the Bulldog Sports Network from IMG.